In the history of spiritual thought, few words have echoed with as much power or consequence as the declaration, Ana al-Haq, I am the truth. These were not words spoken lightly, nor metaphorically in the casual sense. They were uttered by a mystic who believed that the individual self had dissolved so completely into divine reality that no separation remained between speaker and source. To religious authorities of the time, this sounded like blasphemy, an intolerable claim of identity with God. But to those who have walked the inner path of mysticism, these words point to something far more subtle, the disappearance of the ego itself. Not the elevation of the self, but its annihilation. This video is not about heresy or martyrdom in a historical sense. It is about what happens when the boundary between self and God collapses, and why that collapse has always terrified institutions built on separation. To understand why this declaration shook the foundations of religious authority, we must first understand what the truth, al-Haq, means in the mystical sense. In Islamic metaphysics, al-Haq is not a concept or a belief. It is one of the divine names, signifying ultimate reality itself. It is that which truly is beneath appearances, forms, and identities. When Hallaj said, I am the truth, he was not claiming that his personal identity, his body, name, or personality, was divine. He was pointing to the absence of any personal identity left at all. The I that spoke was no longer the ego self, but awareness itself, speaking from within itself. This distinction is crucial. The statement does not exalt the human ego, it obliterates it, and this is precisely why it was misunderstood. At the core of Hallaj's experience lies a phenomenon known across mystical traditions, ego death. This is not psychological collapse, nor loss of sanity. It is the gradual dismantling of the sense of being a separate, autonomous entity standing apart from the world and from God. In this state, the seeker no longer experiences God as an external object to be worshipped or petitioned. God is no longer over there. Instead, consciousness recognizes itself as arising within a single, unified reality. The seeker does not become God. Rather, the illusion of separation dissolves. What remains is presence without ownership, awareness without a center, being without a boundary. From this perspective, saying I am the truth is no different than saying there is only truth. The I has vanished. Only reality remains. Religious institutions, by necessity, operate through structure, hierarchy, and mediation. They rely on rules, doctrines, and intermediaries, priests, laws, rituals, to guide the faithful toward God. Mystics like Hallaj bypass all of this. Their experience implies that direct access to the divine is possible, even inevitable, when the ego dissolves. This is deeply destabilizing. If God is not separate from awareness itself, then authority based on separation loses its foundation. There is no longer a clear line between sacred and profane, believer and unbeliever, clergy and layperson. Hallaj did not reject religion. He practiced it intensely. But his realization transcended its outer forms, and history shows that whenever inner realization threatens outer control, the response is almost always the same: suppression. What makes Hallaj's declaration especially powerful is that it echoes across cultures and centuries. Similar insights appear in Christian mysticism, Advaita Vedanta, Neoplatonism, and even modern discussions of consciousness. Again and again, mystics report the same realization, that the sense of a separate self is not ultimate, and that beneath it lies a unified field of being. Hallaj's words did not belong to Islam alone. They pointed beyond all labels. This universality is precisely why his message could not be contained. It dissolved not only the self, but the boundaries between traditions. Unity, once seen, cannot be partitioned. And this is why mystical insight often survives not in institutions but in whispers, poetry, and silence. Halaj was executed not because he claimed divinity in a crude sense, but because his words exposed a truth that could not be safely integrated into the prevailing religious framework. His death stands as a warning etched into history, that direct realization of unity is often perceived as a threat by systems built on distinction. But mysticism has never depended on survival through approval. Its insights persist because they arise from experience, not doctrine. The truth does not require permission to exist. It does not need defenders. It reveals itself wherever the self falls silent. Halaj's execution did not end his message. It amplified it. His words still echo because they point to something timeless, something that cannot be killed. The real question Halaj leaves us with is not whether he was right or wrong, saint or heretic. The question is far more intimate. What remains of you when the sense of separation dissolves? If the ego is not the final authority on identity, then who or what are you really? Mysticism does not ask us to believe anything. It asks us to look, to notice whether the self we defend so fiercely is as solid as it seems. And if it is not, then perhaps Halaj's words were not a claim at all, but a confession made on behalf of reality itself. When the self disappears, who is left to speak? And what then could truth possibly say, other than, I am?